Okay, I'm making a birthday video from Vail, Colorado. Just a little relaxation last couple days. But I wanted to answer a question real quick since I have some time. My wife's getting ready for breakfast. What does compensatory education look like due to the e-learning and this last 6 months, 7 months with the closures? And one thing that all of you need to be aware of is this. First of all, in the settlement agreements that we've been putting together lately, those settlement agreements have the board attorneys have been wanting to insert a provision within the agreement related to COVID and the school's responsibility or requirement to provide additional services if there was regression. But this is the catcher. They're not looking and I'm talking with regards to these settlement agreements, which if they're trying to insert them into my settlement agreements, that also tells me that this is sort of the general attempt across the board. And being that special education law has some national trainers and there's national special education director groups, I have a feeling that this is coming down from on high and it's going to be applicable to a lot of different states, okay? And so what they're attempting to do is break up the review. So let's say your child's been back at school for 2 months now. They're going to want to kick the can and not evaluate or assess your child until they've had your child for, let's say, a semester or almost the entirety of this school year, being the 2021 school year. And then they're going to assess, and then they're going to make a determination on whether or not regression existed, and whether there was lost skills during this time. Which, by the way, if they have your child for a good 5 months, your child should progress. And if your child is progressing, your child's progressing per the standard of the school year, and they're not taking into consideration the shutdown at all. And it's an attempt to deny you the services that your child would rightfully be entitled to if they were to conduct that evaluation and determination now. Okay? It's got to be done fairly quickly once your child resumes services, because otherwise, how are you even designing an IEP for the 2021 school year if you don't have current data, current levels of progress, present levels of performance, however you want to say it? What is the baseline for now? Because you got your baseline for now, and then you chart your goal for the school year. But if they're basing whether your child regressed or your child was denied services in order to get something called recovery services. And that's the other thing, guys. The use of the word compensatory education, you got to be very careful about that, because compensatory services has a very it's defined within the law, okay? And that definition within the law denotes that the school district failed to provide your child a FAPE, all right? And in this situation, disclosure, especially during March, April, and May, the schools were just shut down, and they were shut down by governmental order, okay? So therefore, it wasn't necessarily the fault of the school that your child did not receive those services or did not receive a FAPE. So that's where recovery services would come in. Now, once we chart into the fall, it gets a little trickier, because many of the states were not under any kind of governmental health order to remain shut like they were in March, April, and May. So therefore, that was on the school system if they made an independent determination to go virtual learning only. And in that regard, it very well could be compensatory services, but you as a parent need to be smarter, and you need to pay attention, and you need to use your head, and you need to make sure that you are assessing your child now. You need to have your child assessed now, or you need to demand that they assess your child now, because if they sit there and wait, oh, let's just wait for 6 weeks, let's wait for 8 weeks, let's wait for a semester, well, then what do you think is going to happen? They're going to make a judgment and the determination of your child and your child's skills based upon the work that they're going to be doing with your child over the next, however long. which means that they have that much time to gain or recoup those skills. Now, recoup those skills would basically mean that they gave you recovery services and your child's back. But what you're not taking into consideration, and what the school is not taking into consideration, is where would your child have been had none of this happened? How much further along would your child be? You know, they're basically trying to just erase the last 7 months of your child's life as though they didn't exist, and then hope that they can sit there and chart a path 3, 4, 6 months from now, do evaluations, determine that your child's made progress, and then retroactively apply an analysis saying that your child didn't regress and that your child's just fine. So what would they look like? Well, I mean, they would look like speech language services. They would look like occupational therapy. They would look like behavioral therapy, if you're entitled to that. It would look like academic instruction, in the form of resource time, in reading and math. It would be all of those things. Now, it's not an hour for hour, minute for minute determination. That isn't how any of this works. So keep that in mind. Compensatory services or recovery services are done on a different mathematical arrangement, all right? Because there's only so much time in a day. There's only so much time during the summer. Where would you be able to make up all of that time? The entire point is that you negotiate recovery services, and you do so in a way that is not reflective of an hour for hour, minute for minute loss, because that's just not how any of this works on the backside. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're fine-tuning that determination of what your child needs, and then have those services either provided by somebody within the district, or you can even demand that those services be provided with a monetary amount for a private provider to provide those services if the school system isn't interested or willing to do it. But it needs to be an individualized array of services that are appropriate for your child. It does need to be individualized and not thrown into some big group. Okay?